Hey, shalom, shalom. I'm gonna say call out Janai, Yahweh, Yahushai. Okay, I'm gonna start into this lesson. Okay, I don't know what I'm entitled yet. I don't know what I'm going to entitle it yet. Um, but it's referring to where essentially the third woe is going to take place. Referring to World War III. Okay. Because as we know, whereas unless you're living under a rock, um, everything that's happening between the drama of Iran and the U.S. Right, the U.S. military, essentially, all of that is prophecy. Okay, and these nations are gathering themselves to that Middle Eastern part of the world. Okay. Um, they're gathering themselves out there in the Valley of Jehoshaphat. Okay, and I wanted to get into that because this is prophecy happening right before our eyes, man. I mean, if you can't see what the hell is happening, I mean, you're more blind than a effing blind guy, dude. You know, because if I can see what the fuck is going on, what's your people's excuse, man? Me being filled with all sorts of imperfections, you people that have good health to you and a good, head over your shoulders, you should be on top of this type of stuff, man. You should know what's going on. So there's no excuses, man. Okay, this is Joel chapter 2, verse 20. But I will remove far off from you the northern army, and will drive him into a land barren and desolate, with his face toward the east sea, and his hinder part toward the utmost sea. Yeah, and this is referring to out there in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, man. Okay, which is where all this drama is happening right now. And what people are saying about this war is that, oh man, there's just so much happening right now. Okay, because at last I checked too, Israel's getting the bomb the shit out of right now. And who the hell knows what's gonna happen next week? And things are moving so fast right now, man. Okay, but that Middle Eastern Ocean, okay, which is the Strait of Hormuz, is where a lot of oil gets shipped out of. I think it's 30% of the world's oil gets shipped from there. So what's happening is that America is showing really its weakness to the rest of the world, because by it trying to demonstrate its supremacy and its militant might, it's actually showing that Iran, being such a small country, can actually stand up to such a big threat. Okay, and essentially this could be the end of the petrodollar as well. Okay, the petrodollar agreement. If you know a little bit about geopolitics, you know that America is essentially kept its hegemony or its supremacy over the rest of the world via that petrodollar agreement. Okay, because none of the nations were allowed to trade in other currencies, thus giving the leverage and the power over to the states, and they were able to essentially cut off nations from getting oil supply if they didn't comply with what America wanted. So it was a tremendous amount of power to the states via the petrodollar, but that only was under the contingency that America protected the OPEC nations from any sort of military strikes against them. Okay, because supposedly America had this enormous militant capability, and supposedly it had superior hardware, superior air force, superior navy, superior army, right? And that's what they sold to those Middle Eastern OPEC nations, which are the oil producers of the world. And so they made an agreement, which is what we call the petrodollar now. And this might be the end of the petrodollar agreement, because if America no longer has the upper hand in military hardware, and just by them being in some of those Middle Eastern countries, just by them having bases over there, it's going to put a target on the backs of those places. They're really not going to want to do any business with the states anymore. Okay, and last I heard too from this conflict, okay, is that the Chinese satellites are now giving how would I say it, precise coordinates of U.S. bases, okay, to the Iranians. That's the last I've heard. So if that is true, because it's logical, because the Iranians only have so much hardware. You know, they're not on that level of these other superpower countries, man. Okay, and the Iranians have managed to launch precise strikes. You know, the word precise simply means perfect, right? Or synonymous with perfection, meaning exact. Okay, they've managed to exactly strike where those U.S. bases are, and so that's why some people are speculating that they're getting their coordinates from the Chinese satellites. So that if this is true, for the first time, we could actually be seeing a proxy war between the U.S. and China. So this man, so much is happening, bro, and this is all happening right there in the Middle East, right where the scripture said it was going to happen. Saudi Arabia is going to be the hot spot for all these superpower countries where they're going to absolutely wreck each other. Okay, until Yahushua HaMashiach finally makes his great return and stomps the shit out of all those nations. Okay, I mean, eradicates them. Military hardware, drones, nothing will be able to stand against Yahushua HaMashiach and his holy angels and the house of David. Okay, it's gonna be epic, man, absolutely epic. Okay, this is Joel 2:20. Read it one more time. But I will remove far off from you the northern army, and will drive him into a land barren and desolate, with his face toward the east sea, and his hinder part toward the utmost sea. And his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he had done great things. Yeah, America's army is going to lose, dude. Okay, and which is we're already seeing right now. For the first time, America is losing and looking really bad in front of a nation, in front of the rest of the world, but to a nation that really isn't even militarily superior, supposedly, right? But they're fighting this with some serious chess move mindsets. Okay, they've been ready for this conflict because they've seen, okay, the disaster that they've brought to the other Middle Eastern countries. So the Iranians are not new to this. They've been ready. They have underground cities, man. Okay, and it's not as simple as setting bunker busters. You know, when you don't even know how deep some of those cities get. Oh yeah, the Iranians are playing this completely from a strategic standpoint. Okay, this is some serious stuff that's going down out here, man. This is prophecy, man. Okay, and I'm more than happy to share what's going on with the rest of the world, and you know, and to the 12 tribes scattered abroad, greetings. Okay, Shalom. If you're hearing this for the first time, the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, and the Hebrew Israelites, if you have zeal and you're interested in this, it could be that you are a Hebrew Israelite player. Okay, so don't let you know, doubtful thoughts intrude your mind, right? Don't start thinking that, oh, because you know my mom is Asian, or my dad, you know, my dad is some East Indian dude. No, bro. Okay, your seed line is called by your father first and foremost, and then second, your pedigree is determined by your father, right? Meaning your nationality. That's number one. Number two, if you have zeal, bro, and you're calling upon the name of Yahweh, Yahushai, the scriptures talk about the name of Israel being nowhere found. I'm sorry, the name of the Father and being nowhere found but in Israel. It tells you that, I think, in was that first, second Ezra? Okay, I can get that real quick. Okay, but then I want to jump right back into this. But yeah, you know, salutations to the Israelites out there hearing this for the first time, because I understand that a lot of people are gonna, you know, start waking up to this knowledge, especially once this internet really picks off and it makes things get global. You know, it makes this truth go global. Okay, but let me get that scripture. Name found. Okay, nowhere but in Israel. Let me see. Yeah, I think it's Second Ezra 3, chapter 3, verse 34. Weigh thou therefore our wickedness now in the balance, and theirs also that dwell the world, and so thy name, and so shall thy name. Go show you the name of the Most High and the Son is important. Nowhere be found but in Israel. Okay, so the name of the Father is only found in the tongue in the DNA of the Israelites, man. Okay, not in these other nations, man. These other nations, they ain't got it, man. If you really were a heathen watching this, you'd be some bug out that just you don't even know what the hell you're doing. You'd probably be high or something. You know what I'm saying? But but if you're sincere, it more than likely, bro, you're a Hebrew Israelite player. Okay, that's just how it goes. Okay. So salutations. But going back to this Valley of Jehoshaphat, okay, because that Middle Eastern hemisphere, that Middle Eastern part of the world, is going to be where the great battle of the third woe is going to happen. Some people are saying that it's technically not a World War III because all these nations, they technically have division. Shut the fuck up, bro. Shut up, all right? Be quiet, okay? Because the scriptures talk about the third woe, all right? World War I, World War II, you get the point, player, all right? This conflict that's taking place right now is going to be the third woe that the scriptures talk about. And that's going to be essentially where Yahushua is going to make his great return, because we know this because the scripture says that he's going to come from the east, okay? Let me get these scriptures, man, because this is some hot prophecy, man, that's happening like right before our eyes, bro. I'm telling you, dog, like me having not the best, greatest vision that a man can have. If I can see it, there's no excuses for you other people, player. Okay? You people have some healthy, strong bone bodies, man. You should be on top of this type of stuff, man. All the more. How the fuck is it that me being some individual stuck in these chains of darkness, and I got my different imperfections and, abnormalities. How the fuck is it that I can crystal clearly understand what's going on in the Middle East, man? With precision. The Almighty's giving me the understanding of prophecy, man. No excuses for you people. No excuses. Okay? A lot of you people are going to get caught with your pants down when Yahushua makes his great return. And it's not a thing I'll be able to do for you. I can't do nothing for you, player. I just made a lesson. What exactly are you rich in? And a lot of you people don't even have the fine linen of righteousness. You don't even have that to your name. You people are fucking poor, man. Bum ass people. Get into this while you still have time. Okay? While you still have time. Time, player. Okay? Let's see. Okay, this is Joel chapter 3, verse 2. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. Okay? Because it's funny, because these so-called Israelis, according to Tucker Carlson and some expert that he brought on, I forget the name of the expert, okay, forgive me for not knowing the name of that expert, but he was saying that, because he brings a lot of experts in there, all these so-called experts, whatever, which, they might have some good things, or some decent things to say based on their experiences, but one of them said that this Iran war is really because the state of Israel is pushing, I believe he said, digital currencies, and Iran and Russia aren't down with it. They don't want to be a part of that digital system that they want to implement so badly. So it makes sense. It would be logical if I'm stating that correctly. Okay, I'm roughly paraphrasing it, but it would be logical, man. It would make sense. They're fighting against that system that they're pushing on them, and it's logical. It makes sense, So we're in the times of manliness and in times to fight back right now, because this is some seriously tyrannical, evil leadership that these people are pushing on us, and they're pushing on the rest of the world, okay? And when you understand the role of men, okay, like you have all these disrespectful feminist women, sorry, Slovakia, okay, we got a phone call. You have all these disrespectful feminist females always talking about, I don't need no man, or man ain't shit, man this, man that, here's the thing, is that men, during markets like this, like we're living in right now, yeah, you may not need a man. You might just have, the need for tradesmen here and there, but you don't necessarily really need a man, right, by your side, called your husband, right? Women, in a way, really can kind of survive without guys on this side for now. But when systems get tyrannical, when rulerships start becoming extremely wicked against the people, you need men, okay? Because men are essentially the only forces that really fight back, okay? And right now we're in some serious times of manliness, okay? Not to be toxic or anything, not to be an asshole, but we're in some serious times of manliness, okay? Because we need to not get that damn microchip, which they're about to enforce upon the rest of the world. F your effing microchip, okay? You can take that shit, shove it up yours, and if you want to behead me, fine. Fuck you. I'll give you my last fu to the world. Piece of shit life this was anyways, and and I'm done. Fuck this shit. I'm gonna let the carnal fighting and all that shit. I'm gonna leave that shit to the Russians. I'm gonna leave that shit to these other heathenistic nations. Hell, I'll leave the carnal shit to you 2/3 niggas, man. You can get all carnal with Edom like that too. See what he sends down your throat. My weapons, okay, of warfare are not carnal. My weapons are mightier than that, okay? I'm bringing the principal things of the scriptures. I'm bringing the iron of the Almighty, right? The hammer, the sword of the Almighty, which is these scriptures, which have the power to bring down empires, okay? So, indeed, this is very powerful, okay? This is Joel chapter 3, verse 2. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat. Jehoshaphat means Jehoshaphat, or the Almighty judges, or the place where the Almighty is about to judge, okay? And will plead with them there for my people and from my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. Yeah. And the real Israelites are not the Israelis, man. See, these people are super deceptive, man. And the ordinary Joe has no clue what the hell's going on, man. And I thought I was supposed to be the slow one. But, you people are proving to not know anything. Okay? But the so-called Jews, they don't fit the prophecies, man. They don't fit the prophecies of the real Israelites. It's more of a fabricated, manufactured lie that they've pressed and pushed on the rest of the world. Their whole justification for doing what they're doing to Iran is that God promised them, the Almighty, they say God, right? that the Almighty supposedly promised them, right? Which he promised the Israelites, which is us, because we fit the prophecies of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. And we fit the prophecies of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. So they don't fit the prophecies of Isaiah, the 2nd chapter. They don't fit the prophecies of their women being bald. Okay, the Judite woman is bald because she's cursed right now. Okay, the so-called black woman. So they have no hair. It's very common for black women to have weaves and wigs and all sorts of feminine products on their hair because they don't have any actual hair. And the Lord did that to them because they're very arrogant. And you know how the nigger woman gets, man. The black woman is a very arrogant female, man. Among all the tribes, she's probably the most arrogant one. Okay? And so the Lord punished her. The Judite woman, okay? But the point being is that they don't fit those prophecies. Okay, the real Israelites, when the real Israelites would get into the promised land, the scripture says that there would have been no more wars anymore. If they are the real Israelites, right? Why on earth are we going into the brink of what some may or may not call World War III? Which, I mean, you know, it's the third woe. Okay, it's a huge conflict. What's happening right there is a war. Period. People are getting bombed. People are dying. Okay, bases are getting exploded. Okay, that's a fucking war. Okay, some of you guys are just, you know, got some smart asses. You know what I'm saying? And not in a good way. I don't mean like a smart guy. Okay, but it's the third woe. Okay, it's the third woe that the scriptures refer to, and if they were the real Israelites, that means the prophecy in Isaiah, the second chapter. I'll get it real fast. Okay, then we can continue in Joel 3. Okay, because I think there's one more in Joel 3 I wanted to get really fast. Yeah, this is Isaiah 2, and I'm going to get to the point, okay, because it's a lot here. Isaiah 2, and I'll start at 2. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. And many people shall go and say, Come ye, and let us go to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us his ways. You see, and right now, you Israelis, you're not teaching the ways of the Almighty to the rest of the world. Okay, a lot of you guys are homosexuals, man. It's a known fact that in certain parts in the chosen land right now, the sodomy is tolerated. You know, that's not you teaching the ways of the Most High of Jacob to the rest of the world. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. You know, because the real Israelites are not in the chosen land. Numbnuts. He will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. And he shall judge among the nations, and he shall rebuke many people. Yeah, and you know, they might use this as justification. Oh, see, we're the Israelites, we have to judge the nations. You can't even judge yourselves, you know? So how the hell are you going to judge other nations when you yourself are not even precise with it? You see? You heathen, you're not the real people, and it's showing via your works and your acts. Okay? And they shall beat their swords into plowshares. Yeah, absolutely. A sword into a plowshare is an instrument of agriculture. A sword is an instrument of war. You're not beating your swords. You're not beating your military hardware into agricultural hardware. You're not doing that. Okay? You're bombing the shit out of Iran. You know, you're trespassing and getting involved with these other nations, and they don't like you doing that. Okay, you're harassing the other nations. Edom. Okay, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. So when the real Israelites get there, this is when this is going to start applying. But the Israelites are not there. That's why this hasn't been fulfilled yet. Okay. You people need to start thinking, man. Start asking critical questions. Start scrutinizing things, man. Okay? And even then, the Lord has to be with you. Even then, you need a teacher. You need a mentor. You know? And not that I want some followers. If you people want to listen to the videos, cool. Listen to the videos. Listen to my 2 cents. Listen to my little rants. But I don't, as if this is just a thing of followers and shit. That's not what this thing's about, man. Okay? I'm totally cool going solo dolo till shit hits the fan out here. You know? It gets lonely as hell, but shit, it's just how it goes, man. That's what it means to be a soldier. Sometimes you're gonna be by yourself. You gotta hold it down. You gotta have that zeal. You gotta have that fight in you. You people want to listen and follow along, cool. But even then, I'm not really taking other people in anyways. What for? Because it's sometimes it's better to work by yourself because you stay sharper like that, man. Some people, having people around you, it can be a liability at times, man. Let me see. Going back to Joel, I believe 3. Okay. Okay. Joel 3:3, and they have, right, because I just read Joel 3:2, so I'm gonna go down to verse 3. Joel 3:3. And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink. You see? Because during slavery, these other nations actually did that. They literally sold a boy as a man whore or a boy whore. Yeah. These other nations, they're weirdos, man. Because I didn't know this, but even amongst the people of Afghanistan, they have rings where they gather around, and they have little boys, like young boys, teenage boys, on the brink of becoming, men through puberty, right? And they're just young dudes, young kids, man, children, man, boys. And they just have them dancing around in a very feminine manner. So to this day, certain traditions of the Middle East, they still involve some homosexual weirdo shit, man. Yeah, these nations, man, they're about to get judged, man. You nations are some sick people, okay? You Edomites and shit. You weird ass fucking white boys, okay? Over here in the Western Hemisphere, right? These American Edomites, okay? You American white folks, you got some weird traditions too, man. Traditions that have nothing to do with the scriptures, and they call themselves so-called Christians, right? They call themselves believers of the Lord, believers of Christ, right? They say, but then you really get into the book that they claim to be about, and it's just like, no, medium rare steak is not in the scriptures, man. When you read the scriptures, you're not supposed to be eating the blood of an animal in the meat, man. So much for precision. You people can't even cook meat right, and then you wonder why you're manufacturing, and you have all sorts of fucking problems on your assembly lines, and you have all sorts of problems with American made products, because you people can't even follow basic instructions, man. You people have no discipline in you. You have a very warped, perverted spirit in you, man. Can't even follow godly precision. What makes you think you're going to be able to do, that next level, engineering, you know what I'm saying? And that next level manufacturing. You can't. That's why American manufacturing sucks, man. If this place is not really known for its innovation anymore, it's just falling. Because you Edomites have a very vile spirit on you, man. Okay? They've always had, But when it was their time to shine, they did make it happen, right? And even then, I don't doubt that it was probably a lot of our people working in the plants, making a lot of them parts and assembly lines for them. Because the scriptures talk about us being the former of all things, during slavery and during, the racist era of America, right? The 1819, early 1900s, mid 1950s, right? Those are the really racist territorial eras. These Edomites, man, they had us working the hard jobs. They had us working the brutal, tough jobs, Yep. And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot. And cast lots for my people, they've that's the auctioning, man. You know, all that auctioning. You know, we got here a nigger for going for $2. One nigger going here for $2, and sold to the fine gentleman in you know in the white over there. Fucking Edomites, you know, they get all into it. I'm just I'm just impersonating, right? What a fucking cracker would sound like, but you know, they literally cast lots for our people, man. That's all that auctioning and the selling of our people. You know, as if we were just some, you know, commodity that you just throw and use at your disposal. People are sick, man. Okay. You know, and even if you're gonna own people, it's like there's an order to it, man. You know, you can't be fornicating even with your slaves. Okay, even if they are your property. Oh well, we conquered them, you know. Yeah, but dude, you're not supposed to mess with a mother and her daughter at the same time. That's a total abomination. You can't mess with a woman and her sister. Okay, you can't mess with another man's woman. Okay, if even if it's a slave, even if it is a fucking slave, man, you heathen can't discern. You know, that precise way of discerning is not given to you. That's only given to the Israelites. Okay, so it makes sense that our people, they conquer every trade, they conquer every profession, every endeavor, because our people, they got that, to some degree, that superiority in them. You know, and in case of the elect, we conquer these scriptures, man. Are you kidding me? There ain't nobody sharper than the member of the elect of the house of David. Yeah, certain things are hard to understand. Certain things, you know, certain men have more portion than the other. Okay, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, ain't no one sharper than the elect, bro. The house of David? Okay? Hell no. Okay, we'll run circles around you with these scriptures, player. Don't even get me started. Okay? This is Joel 3 and oh yeah, Joel 3 and 4. I can read this one. Yea, and what have ye to do with me, or Tyre and Zidon, and all the coast of Palestine? I'm sorry. Will ye render me a recompense? You know, talking about them, all the heathenistic nations, okay? All of them. They all had a part in our destruction. They all benefited one way or another from our destruction, okay? Our destruction, right? Will ye render me a recompense? And if ye render me if ye recompense me, swiftly and speedily will I return your recompense upon your own head. Exactly. Okay. Because even if they tried to pay up, I mean, it would be so foolish if they really tried to give some sort of money to the Lord for what they did. You know, you imagine, but these heathen, they're pathetic like that, man. They're fucking pathetic, man. Okay. You know, the Lord doesn't want your money. The Lord doesn't want your right, which the Israelites are going to take that. Okay, don't get it twisted. You know, we will take back our silver. We will take back our gold. You know, and our goodly, pleasant things, right? But there's no way you can possibly repay everything that's happened to the Israelites, man. To the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. There's just no way you can recompense for all that bloodshed. You know, there's no way you can make up for all that bloodshed. The only way to make up for it, to really make up for it, would be by your own blood for blood. You know, which is essentially why the Lord is going to have to come back, because essentially he's going to enslave the other nations. That's the only way they can pay back. You know? Yeah. And these nations, they're going to really try to fight against the Lord and his angels. You know, they're going to shoot hypersonic missiles against the archangels of the Almighty, against the Lord himself. And they're going to fail, because the Lord has next level superpowers. Because the Lord is going to be like Superman in that day. Okay? And as crazy as that may sound to you people, it's prophecy. And I don't care if you think I look ridiculous, if I sound crazy, if this guy has no credibility. Look what he's talking about. He's over here talking about Superman powers and angelic forces fighting against hypersonic missiles. This guy's unstable, you know? But you people can talk your shit, that's fine. But this is why the prophet seems so crazy. You know, Isaiah prophesied naked. You know, Ezekiel was commanded to eat poop, you know, feces, fecal matter, you know. And it's being a prophet was never easy anyway. So I already know what I'm getting into, you know. And if you think I'm crazy, well then fine. You know, it is what it is. But prophecy's still going to happen anyways, whether you agree with it or not. You know, the Lord is going to come back in the glory of his Father, and he's going to come back extremely strong, extremely mighty. Okay, he's going to have Superman like strength. Okay, he's going to be tall, he's going to be wearing gold armor. Okay, that old school gold armor with his garments, with his phylacteries, everything, every detail, every precise detail. He's going to come back with perfection, godly, heavenly perfection. I mean, man, the man is going to be decked out, bro. If you're not on his good side, hey, that's on you, okay? That's your own doing. I warned you. I effing warned you. Okay, excuse my French. I warned you people. I warned you, you know. Ain't nothing you gonna tell me, oh, well, he didn't say nothing. No, I warned you, okay? We won't be able to pull that off, you know? Because the Lord is precise. He's perfect. He hears and sees everything, you know? Every act, good or bad, is recorded, right? So Joel 3:5, because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples and my goodly pleasant things, the children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border. Yeah, talking about them so-called white boys. Okay, it's been some very bitter curses we've had to go through, but you know, we're getting by, man. You know, we're getting through them. We're almost done with this shit. We're almost done with these curses, and it's almost over. It's just hang in there a little bit more, okay, Yasharallah. I know it's bitter as shit. I know, but it's almost over, okay. And then from here, once this piece of shit empire finishes, we're gonna chill for all of eternity, okay. All of Israel, okay. Including you knucklehead 2/3, but you know, until the kingdom, I'll call you my brethren. Joel 3:11, assemble yourselves, which is what's happening in the Middle East right now, okay? Saudi Arabia is going to be the point of World War III, or the third woe, okay? Joel 3:11, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be awakened and come to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. The multitudes in the valley of decision. For the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. Referring to the valley of Jehoshaphat, where the Almighty will judge these heathenistic nations. Okay? Because, like I said earlier, or in another video, I had mentioned that Dubai, which is part of the United Arab Emirates, is part of it, is getting bombed to shit, man. Okay? So you actually have princes, right? Prince, but plural, so referring to a male. You have male princes that have grown up, you know, royalty essentially, that have grown up without seeing any sort of war, any sort of famine, or any suffering. They've grown up rich off of oil money because of the petrodollar agreement with the states, and it put them in this very strategic position as well, because they have a lot of oil that's ready to dig out, and it's a lot easier to use than the Venezuelan oil. So the rest of the world really flocks to that Middle Eastern part of the world because of their oil. You have these rich Arabs, man, that have never really suffered anything, and now all of a sudden they're getting bombs getting thrown on their asses, man. It goes to show you riches too don't deliver in the day of destruction. Let me get that scripture too, man. Okay, because all you people, especially you other nations, you put a lot of emphasis on money. You obsess over money, and not realizing that the real wealth is essentially righteousness. That's the real wealth. That's the infinite return investment. You know what I'm saying? Not some oil in some Arab's backyard. But let me see something, man. This is Proverbs 11:4. Riches profit not in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivereth from death. So, if you Arab nations, man, which you can't even work righteousness anyways, because you're fucking heathen. You don't have it in you. But yeah, all that gold and all that wealth, because the UAE has a lot of gold. They have a lot of access to a lot of different resources. So, but mostly oil. Them Arabs, man. And I've heard stories about what they're like out there, man. I think Gabriel Iglesias had mentioned when he got flown out there one time that they still separate the men from the women. Like they're very strict on adultery. So and it pissed me off because I'm like, these heathen nations, man, they still have order. They still have like their people in some like community based. They stick to their own. Their women aren't whores. Their men aren't fat. Like, these nations are not suffering, man. And what about us, our people? We're dying in the hoods. Our women are fucking whores. Our men are destroyed. Okay, our men are either in prison, okay, sodomized, okay, or dead. And it pissed me off because I'm like, while you nations are oh yeah, they got their nice things. Oh, of course, you have to separate your daughters, women over there. Yeah, of course. They have their nice things. They have their gold. They have their oil. Oh, of course, you can't forget any of that. And it's good. It's good that they're getting the shit out of now. I don't feel bad for you, heathen. I'm here for my people, man. Okay, give a fuck about some Arab dog. Okay, you heathen can fucking eat a missile, man. But Gabriel Iglesias had mentioned about going over there one time, and they still have their women in order, and he even knew that. I think one of them said that his name Gabriel, that he had recognized it and that it meant something. They had mentioned that it meant warrior. So I mean, them heathen nations, they have their heritage, man. They have not suffered at all. Meanwhile, my people are fucking suffering here at the hands of Edom, by the eagle. I mean, you nations, I don't give a fuck about you nations, man. All right, you nations can get your asses whooped by Esau, Edom. Okay, you can get your asses whooped by all everything that Esau sends your way. I don't give a shit, man. The Persians can fuck you nations up too for making deals with the fucking devil, man. Okay, good for your asses, man. For making fucking deals with Edom. Devil turns on you, man. Okay. And now just for America's bases being over there, it's already putting a target on those other UAE nations, so, or the UAE and the OPEC nations, okay. So, I mean, with that, man, that's all I had to say, man. Okay, it's a lot happening. Okay, Lord willing, the elect were edified. Until next time, I'm gonna say, call Allah, Yahweh, Yahushai. Until next time, Shalom.